Hey guys, it's Allie and I'm back with another PMP video. A few months back, I posted a video about my PMP experience because I couldn't find anything on YouTube that was super informative, and I thought if I can help one person, why not? That video has actually done really well, and I've had a ton of people asking me questions in the comment section of that video, as well as sending me emails. If you haven't seen that video yet, I recommend you check it out, and if I can figure it out, it will be somewhere around on the screen. Before I share the video, there's an important disclaimer. This is my experience. You could do more or less than what I share in this video and still pass or fail the exam. Each exam is unique and your strengths and weaknesses are your own. Don't take my approach and let it dictate yours, but maybe you can find something helpful in this video. Okay, let's jump right in. I passed my PMP exam in just 30 days by using this step-by-step approach. Step 1, I downloaded and used mobile apps. So I didn't buy any mobile applications, but I did download and use the free version of several applications, some worth your time and some that might not be. I used the questions in the mobile applications whenever I was out and about. I studied for 4 to 5 hours every day and didn't do a whole lot, but still found myself in an occasional appointment waiting room or line at the grocery store. Using mobile applications when I had a dead minute or two was super helpful and far more productive than, scrolling through Instagram. I advise you to be careful when using mobile applications though. I found that after I would cycle through so many questions, it would repeat questions, especially ones that I had gotten wrong. Now, I would get those questions right a second time, but not necessarily because I had learned the correct answer, but rather because I had recognition of the answer that went with that question. So I found that my scores were improving based off of recognition, not necessarily preparedness or an increase in knowledge gained. Second, I utilized supplemental study material. So as I mentioned in my previous video, I didn't use the PMBOK. But I did use Andy Crow's How to Pass the PMP Exam on Your First Try. I also used PrepCast Simulator. I stand by the fact that I think those two resources can get you as far as you need to go. Andy Crow's book was very digestible and easy to read with clear takeaways from each chapter. And the PrepCast Simulator allows you to break questions or exams down into subparts based off of domain or knowledge area or number of questions. With both of these resources, I found a perfect blend and approach that worked for me. So here's what I did. First, I would take a 10-question quiz on the PrepCast Simulator specific to the domain or knowledge area that I was going to read from Andy Crow's book. This exposure helped me understand what I was about to be reading and maybe even frame the way that I should approach the subject. Then, one chapter at a time, I would read Andy Crow's book. Whatever 10 questions I prepared for, I would read the corresponding chapter. Andy Crow's book does a really good job of highlighting what not to forget in the chapter and things that you will definitely see on the exam. After reading the chapter all the way through, I would spot read the chapter, meaning I would go back through looking for anything that was worth highlighting or taking extra note of. After I read the chapter, I would take the chapter quiz, grade it immediately, and then reread the questions I got wrong and try to understand why the right answer was the right answer and why the answer I originally chose was incorrect. I repeated this process for every single chapter. The third step in my study approach was to utilize a brain dump. Now, this is a personal choice and absolutely not necessary, but with that being said, it provided me a lot of comfort on exam day. It's worth noting that personally, I didn't memorize any of the inputs, tools and techniques, or outputs. I also didn't memorize any of the formulas used. What I did instead was spend an hour of every study session writing these inputs, tools and techniques, and outputs, as well as the formulas, over and over and over. This wasn't in an attempt to memorize them, but rather an attempt to create some kind of brain recognition so that if I saw them on the exam, I was more likely to do some kind of association like, hey, I've seen this before, or hey, I wrote that down before. So I didn't have to recall it immediately. I recognized it without a doubt. Now, sometimes this hurt me because there were questions that had more than one thing that I recognized, but it still provided me the ability to narrow it down. While I didn't memorize those things, I did memorize the 49 processes and the order that they happened in. And this is what I did for my brain dump. I practiced every study session, drawing the chart of the 49 processes, and got it down to under 9 minutes, so that the first 10 minutes of my exam was solely spent on regurgitating this information, and I really didn't use it that much. But like I said, it provided me a lot of comfort. So take that with a grain of salt. It's a lot to write down, and you may or may not use it, but it provided me a lot of comfort. The fourth and final step of my study process was practice exams. So after I took the pre-test, read the chapter, reread the chapter, and took the chapter quiz for every chapter inside of Andy Crow's exam book, I would take a full 200-question, 4-hour exam. My advice during these practice exams is to make it as real as possible. Eliminate your distractions. Use only headphones, just one piece of notebook paper, and your computer. Remove anything else. Take a break when you plan to take it during the real exam, and for that matter, flag any of the questions that you're not comfortable with right away. After you finish the practice exam and you submit for review, identify what the exam said you were weakest on. What were your results? What domain or knowledge area did you need to spend a little more time studying? Use the exam results to strengthen your weak spots. After I would take a full-length practice exam, I would take whatever knowledge area or domain I was weakest on and do another 25 to 50 question exam in the PrepCast simulator. This helped me focus on only the questions related to the topic that I was kind of struggling on. I might even reread the chapter about that knowledge area or domain. This was more or less the 4 steps that I took to pass my PMP exam in just 30 days. Anyway, until next time.